When running a polyvinyl chloride or PVC pipe underground for temporary power, several precautions are necessary. While it is permissible, preventing tripping hazards and damage to the pipe are crucial. Fastening the PVC to the grass is not always necessary, however, proper support and protection from tripping hazards are paramount. Securing the pipe can prevent movement and damage. Running a PVC pipe underground for temporary power does not automatically constitute an Occupational Safety and Health Administration or OSHA violation. However, several factors could lead to a violation. Firstly, if the pipe becomes a tripping hazard or poses a risk of electrical shock, it violates safety standards. Secondly, if the pipe lacks proper support or protection against damage, it could lead to an OSHA violation. Thirdly, using the pipe for permanent wiring instead of temporary power is a violation. The Jacksonville, Florida Electrical Code, while not explicitly addressing PVC pipes in the ground for temporary power, mandates that all other electrical installations comply with the National Electrical Code, or NEC. The NEC mandates that temporary power systems minimize the risk of electrical shock, fire, and other hazards. This includes proper grounding, overcurrent protection, and secure electrical connections. To ensure safety and compliance with OSHA and NEC requirements, several best practices should be followed. Firstly, use a Schedule 40 PVC pipe rated for electrical use. Secondly, support the pipe every 10 feet using stakes or other appropriate supports. Thirdly, protect the pipe from damage by placing it in an area unlikely to be stepped on or crushed. Fourthly, clearly label the pipe as temporary power to prevent confusion and accidental use for permanent wiring. Fifthly, obtain a permit from the local building department or electrical inspector if the temporary power installation exceeds 30 days. Adhering to these guidelines ensures a safe and compliant temporary power setup using PVC pipe on the ground. Let's delve deeper into the National Electrical Code, or NEC, requirements and industry best practices to ensure the safe and compliant installation of temporary power using polyvinyl chloride, or PVC conduit. Several NEC articles are relevant to temporary power installations. Article 590 covers temporary installations, outlining requirements for wiring methods, grounding, overcurrent protection, and GFCI, which stands for Ground Fault Circuit Interrupter Protection. It emphasizes that temporary electrical power and lighting installation shall be permitted for a period not to exceed 90 days for holiday, decorative lighting, and similar purposes. For construction, remodeling, maintenance, repair, or demolition of buildings, structures, or equipment, and similar activities, temporary electrical power and lighting installation shall be permitted for the duration of the project. Article 352 addresses PVC conduit specifically, covering its approved uses, installation requirements, and ampacity adjustments. It dictates the types of conductors permitted within PVC conduit, the support spacing requirements, and the methods for joining and terminating conduit sections. Article 300 encompasses general wiring methods, covering topics such as protection against physical damage, securing and supporting wiring, and proper conductor identification. When installing temporary power using PVC conduit in the ground, several NEC requirements must be carefully considered. Grounding is crucial for preventing electrical shock hazards. All temporary power systems must be properly grounded according to NEC Article 250, which covers grounding and bonding. This involves connecting the metal parts of the electrical system to earth, providing a low impedance path for fault currents to flow back to the source, tripping the overcurrent protective device, like a circuit breaker or fuse. Ground fault circuit interrupter, or GFCI, protection is required in many temporary power applications, especially where portable tools and equipment are used. NEC Section 590.6 mandates GFCI protection for all 125 volts single-phase, 15 amps, 20 amps receptacles that are not part of the permanent wiring of the building or structure. This ensures that any ground faults are quickly detected and interrupted, minimizing the risk of electrical shock. Overcurrent protection is essential for preventing overloads and short circuits. Temporary power circuits must be protected by circuit breakers or fuses sized appropriately for the conductor ampacity as specified in NEC Article 240. This protects the wiring and equipment from damage caused by excessive current flow. Wiring methods must comply with NEC requirements for temporary installations. While PVC conduit is permitted for temporary power, it must be installed in a way that minimizes the risk of physical damage. This may involve providing additional protection, such as sleeves or barriers, in areas where the conduit is exposed to vehicular traffic or other potential hazards. Support and securing of the PVC conduit is critical for preventing sagging and potential damage. NEC Section 352.30 specifies the maximum spacing between conduit supports, which varies depending on the size of the conduit. In general, support should be provided every 10 feet for 1 inch and smaller conduit. Labeling and identification of temporary power circuits is important for preventing confusion and ensuring proper operation. All temporary power panels, circuits, and equipment should be clearly labeled with their voltage, amperage, and intended use. This helps prevent accidental overloading or misapplication of the temporary power system. In addition to the NEC requirements, several industry best practices should be followed when installing temporary power using PVC conduit in the ground. Planning the layout of the temporary power system is essential for ensuring safety and efficiency. Before installing any wiring or equipment, a detailed plan should be developed that identifies the location of power sources, distribution panels, circuits, and equipment. This helps minimize the length of temporary wiring runs, reduces the risk of tripping hazards, and ensures that power is readily available where it is needed. Selecting the appropriate size and type of PVC conduit is crucial for ensuring adequate capacity and protection. Schedule 40 PVC conduit is generally recommended for temporary power applications, as it provides good physical protection and is readily available. The conduit size should be selected based on the number and size of conductors being installed, as well as any directing factors that may apply. Proper installation techniques are essential for ensuring the long-term reliability and safety of the temporary power system. All conduit joints should be properly glued and tightened to prevent water from entering. Conductors should be pulled smoothly through the conduit without damaging the insulation. Terminations should be made with the appropriate fittings and connectors, ensuring a secure and reliable connection. Regular inspection and maintenance of the temporary power system is important for identifying and correcting any potential problems. The system should be inspected regularly for signs of damage such as cracked or broken conduit, loose connections, or frayed wiring. Any problems should be corrected promptly to prevent electrical shock hazards or equipment failures. When running temporary power for an extended period, such as a year, several additional considerations should be taken into account. Protection against environmental factors is crucial for preventing deterioration of the PVC conduit and wiring. The conduit should be protected from direct sunlight, extreme temperatures, and corrosive chemicals. This may involve using a UV-resistant conduit or providing additional shielding to protect the conduit from the elements. Security measures may be necessary to prevent tampering or theft of the temporary power equipment. This may involve installing fences, locks, or alarms to protect the panels, transformers, and other equipment. It is also important to keep the temporary power system out of reach of unauthorized personnel to prevent accidental contact with energized parts. Coordination with other trades is essential for ensuring that the temporary power system does not interfere with other construction activities. Before installing any wiring or equipment, it is important to coordinate with other contractors to ensure that the temporary power system does not block access to work areas or create tripping hazards. It is also important to coordinate the location of underground utilities to avoid damaging them during the installation process. Obtaining a permit from the local building department or electrical inspector is generally required for temporary power installations that exceed 30 days. The permit process ensures that the temporary power system meets all applicable codes and regulations and that it is inspected by a qualified electrical inspector. This helps ensure the safety and reliability of the temporary power system and minimizes the risk of electrical hazards. When working around underground sprinkler systems, extra care must be taken to avoid damaging the pipes. Before digging or trenching in the area, it is important to locate the sprinkler lines using a pipe locator or by carefully probing the ground. Once the sprinkler lines have been located, they should be clearly marked to prevent accidental damage. When running PVC conduit across the sprinkler lines, it is important to provide adequate clearance to prevent the conduit from rubbing against the pipes. This may involve supporting the conduit on blocks or using flexible conduit to avoid direct contact with the sprinkler lines. If it is necessary to dig near the sprinkler lines, use hand tools to avoid damaging them. Exercise caution when using power tools in the area, as they can easily puncture or sever the sprinkler lines. If a sprinkler line is accidentally damaged, it should be repaired immediately to prevent water damage and maintain the proper operation of the sprinkler system. By following these guidelines, you can ensure the safe and compliant installation of temporary power using PVC conduit on the ground, even when working around underground sprinkler systems. Remember to always consult the latest edition of the NEC and local electrical codes for specific requirements, and to consult with a qualified electrical contractor if you have any questions or concerns. Remember to prioritize safety and compliance in all temporary power installations.